Hello everyone, I welcome you all to free crash course on competitive exams held by Virat Hindustan Sangam in association with Manifest IAS, Bengaluru. This program is inspired by Rajya Sabha MP Dr. Subramaniam Swamy and it was started on 28th of January 2022. So this program is convened by Sri Ravi Shankar Sir, State Education Convener for VHS, Virat Hindustan Sangam, Karnataka branch, and President of Good Neighbors India NGO. So I am the Chief Mentor of your program, Dhanush Kumar. I have had an experience of training civil service aspirants for past 5 years. So you can watch this program online at the comfort of your home on the YouTube channel of Virat Hindustan Sangam. Here is the YouTube link, and also on the YouTube channel of Udaya News Karnataka. Here is the link. Okay. So here is the brief timetable along with syllabus of your program. Okay. So we have finished polity. Now we are heading towards history. So you can join our Telegram channel VHS Education Forum by clicking this link or by scanning this QR code. So what to expect out of these classes, both for freshers and veterans? So freshers can use this program as a avenue to get hold of the syllabus they are supposed to study, and also get clarity about the concepts which they are supposed to study. And veterans, that is senior aspirants, can use this program as a revision course. So they can use this as a revision course and finish the entire syllabus within 2 months. Okay, let us begin the class. So modern India, we are starting with modern India. So the source for this is Brief History of Modern India by Spectrum Publications, written by Rajiv Hair. Okay. So this is your sole source for modern India. No other book is required. Don't go for Bipin Chandra or any other book. So you can just refer Spectrum Publications. So we are going to, here is a 10-day program. We are going to start from advent of Europeans and go up to independence and afterwards. Okay, let us begin the class. So sources of history. What do you mean by sources of history? Where do we study the history from? Right? Where do we know that this exact event has happened? So how do we get to know about the event? So first is archives, archival record. What do you mean by archival record? Archive means government records. Government from the time to time holds the records of various events. So these archives can be classified into various types. Archive means it's a collection of historical records and documents. Collection of historical records and documents. Okay. Company, that is East India Company, had a detailed history, detailed account of trading conditions. They maintained a detailed account of trading conditions, how trade used to take place. That was maintained by East India Company. That also constitutes our archival record. So it can be considered an official record as well. So apart from that, in the same archives, we have central government archives, state government archives, princely state archives, and many other things. Where the central government archives you get? So this is stored in the National Archives of India, New Delhi. So central government archives are stored in National Archives of India, New Delhi. Okay. Next. So it starts from advent of Europeans. From the Europeans, they started maintaining detailed record. In 1767, they appoint a Surveyor General of India. What do you mean by Surveyor General? He surveys the geography. He surveys the geography of India. Where are the mountains? What are the rivers? What is the climatic conditions? What is the agricultural pattern? So various, what is the hydrological pattern? Everything this Surveyor of India, Surveyor General of India maps. Okay. So this is with respect to central government archives. Next we have archives of the state government. So state government means what? We have many provincial governments during the British. Provincial governments, Madras Presidency was there, Bengal Presidency was there, UP Presidency was there, and central provinces was there. So many provinces used to maintain the records, and also princely states. Princely states also used to maintain the records. Okay. So princely states, you can, for example, Lahore Kingdom, that is by whom? Ranjit Singh, they used to maintain these records of the Khalsa Darbar. So their rule was called as Khalsa Darbar. Darbar means the holding of proceedings, day-to-day proceedings, Darbar. So what is Khalsa? Khalsa is a sect. So they, this Sikhs, you had a Khalsa sect. So this sect used to hold a Darbar, and they were the kings, and this is called as Khalsa Darbar. Okay. So also we had in the Marathas, Maratha region, we have Peshwa Darbar. Peshwas were prime ministers of whom? Of the Chhatrapatis, that is Maratha kings. And also we have, as I already mentioned, 3 presidencies. You have Bengal Presidency, Madras Presidency, and Bombay Presidency. They used to hold records. Along with that, archives of European powers. We had Portuguese, we had French, we had Dutch, and also French. So all these people used to maintain their own archives. So that also constitutes the archives of India. And judicial records. Judicial record means what? So the judiciary judgments, judicial proceedings, everything is recorded. That is called as judicial record. Where is it saved? Majorly it is saved in Madras Record Office. Why there? Because there was a mayor's court. So Madras was the first metropolitan city in the India. So there this Madras Presidency in the judicial proceedings were stored in the Madras Record Office. Okay, next is, so we have foreign repositories. I already told, where foreign repositories, you go to any British museum, you go to British National Archives, you will find records about the Indian government. And also Archives National Paris. So Archives Nationales Paris. So French records you can find in Paris. Okay, along with that, judicial records is done, foreign repositories is done. Okay, so along with that, we have memoirs, biographies, and travel accounts. In ancient times, we have many travelers, Domingo Pace, Abdul Razak, and many other Nunis, Fayaz. So many travelers from the Chinese side, we have Fa Yin, Chan Jiang, Huan Zhang. Many travelers, everyone used to have their own travel records, along with memoirs. Memoir means like diary writing, that also constitutes a record. Okay. Next, newspapers and journals. So newspaper and journals. So we have, which is the first newspaper in India? It is the Calcutta General Advertiser or Bengal Gazette. Bengal Gazette or Calcutta General Advertiser started in 1780. So it was started by James Augustus Ike. So along with that, in the 19th century, there was a huge growth of the newspapers. So we have the Hindu, we have Swadeshi Mitran, we have Indian Opinion, we have Kesari, Maratha, and we have Voice of India and Indian Mirror, many Sudarak, many newspapers. So vernacular newspapers, English newspapers, and varieties of newspapers. So all these newspapers used to constitute the archives of the or the records of the past. And also we have creative literature. For example, Bankim Chandra Chatterjee wrote what? He wrote Anand Mat. He wrote many novels. So among one of the novel is Anandmant. It speaks about the sannyasi revolt. Sannyasi revolt. So that also creative literature and also paintings. Paintings also speaks about the past. We have Company Kalam. Company Kalam. So written by the sponsored by the company agents or servants. Company Kalam is there. We have Patna Kalam is there, which was practiced in the region of Patna. And along with that, we have Kalighat paintings. Kalighat paintings. Kalighat temple is there where this painting was practiced. That also Kalighat painting also you can constitute as a historical record. So this is the brief source information about the sources from where we can study the history. Okay. Next, major approaches to studying of history. So what are the approaches? Suppose you are studying something, you will have at the back of your mind, you will have certain notions. From which perspective, from which belief, from which template you are going to look at a particular incident or a particular book or a particular object. So all these constitute the approach. How do you approach a specific thing? So with respect to history, there are many approaches. First is the colonial approach. So colonial approach. So this writing of history by colonialists. So approach in writing the history. So in writing of history, colonialists. So these were people who had occupied the colonies. So they had their own method. They had their own method of teaching or writing history. This method is called as colonial approach. So what do they do in colonial approach? They used to represent India as a Orientalist. Oriental. What is Oriental? Oriental is traditional, which belongs to the East. East means this. It is against the West. So that is West means all the modern countries, UK, Europe, USA. All these countries constitute West. So Eastern countries, Asiatic countries are called as Oriental. Opposite of Oriental is Occidental. Occidental is Western countries, modern countries. Oriental approach to represent the India. So they believe that British rule were good for India. They believed that British rule brought about unity for India. And also, so they viewed Indians were a backward looking people, stagnant population. Because of British presence, modernism was brought in the life of British. So there was also certain amount of truth in this, because we used to practice sati system, female infanticide and many other dogmas. So this is true to a certain extent. And also they considered natives, that is the Indian population, as belonging to social Darwinism. Social Darwinism is not yet evolved population. Indian population as not evolved population. This is the brief about how the colonialists used to look at history. Next we have nationalist approach. Nationalist means all the people who believed in self-rule, who believed in the patriotism, who believed in nationalist values, that is rule by the self, no other foreign intervention, who believed in sovereignty, who believed in democracy, who believed in republican form of government. They were called as nationalists. So how do they look at history? So they look at this national movement as in a positive way. That is, national movement begins after the Congress. Congress starts in 1885, right? After that, this national movement begins. So they look at it as in a positive way. They look at it as a method of spreading awareness among the local population, spreading nationalist values among the local population. They have a very positive notion of nationalism, that is the freedom movement. Who are the... Okay, so they also they are opposed to the colonialists. They hold a very positive view about the India's past and medieval era. They say India was not a decadent society. India was a modern society, or India was not so decadent as believed by the British. So this is their view with respect to India. So who are the main nationalist history writers? So we have Dadabhai Nauroji is there, R.C. Dutt is there, G.K. Gokhale, Gopal Krishna Gokhale is there, A.C. Mazumdar is there. These were the main nationalist history writers. Next we have Marxist approach. Marxist approach, that is which has belief in Marxism. So what do you mean by Marxism? Marxism means a class approach to society. Class approach to society. So that is their class approach. So they believe society is divided based on classes, based on economy, that is economic capacity or productivity. So all your lower class, lower middle class, poor class, upper middle class. So all these classes, this notion of classes is a notion brought about by Marxism, given by Karl Marx. So what do they say? Who are the main writers in this? So the main writers are Rajni Palme Dutt, R.P. Dutt, and also A.R. Desai. These are the two writers of history from the Marxist perspective. So one of the book is A.R. Desai's Social Background of Indian Nationalism. Social Background of Indian Nationalism is one of the book of writing history from Marxist perspective. Okay, so Marxists actually saw the Indian nationalism in a very different way. They saw it as a bourgeois movement. Bourgeois movement. What do you mean by bourgeois movement? So it's a middle class movement, middle class educated movement. They said the peasants and the workers did not participate. So it was mainly the by and for, of and of the upper class educated, upper middle class educated population. They don't see participation of any other persons in this movement. So this is the Marxist view, and also they see the colonialists, that is the British, as supported by the capitalist notion. So they see the British as a capitalist who wanted to propagate the rule in order to advance their economic interest. Next we have Subaltern Approach. Subaltern Approach means, so we have Ranjit Guha. Ranjit Guha is the one of the main persons who propagated the Subaltern Approach. They don't believe in a national movement. They say that there was no national movement at all. Rather, this notion of national movement suffers from elitist bias. Elitist bias means it is a higher class, upper class educated concept. It did not touch the lower class. It did not touch the rural areas. It did not touch the remotest tribal places. It was confined to the cities and to the elitist classes. This is what is said by the Subaltern Approach. Then we have Communalist Approach. Communalist Approach means, so it is based on religion. So this communalists, they see the medieval era. Medieval era is after Rajputs go fall of Rajputs and up to the invent of Europeans. That era is called as medieval era. These people see the ancient India as ruled by Hindus, and medieval India as ruled by Muslims, and this Hindu communalists see the British as the liberators of India from the Muslim rule. Liberators of India from the Muslim rule. Okay, so this was the Communalist Approach. Then also we have Liberal Approach. They what do they say? They are a capitalist class. They say British industrial goods. Okay, they say this capitalism colonialism has actually not benefited the British people. It has not benefited the British people. Rather, it has benefited the occupied country. That is one of the view by whom? Liberalists. So we also have feminist approach who look at it, who look at the entire nationalism from women angle. So what is this feminist approach? So they say earlier there was no participation of women. However, in the early 20th century, we see the liberation of women from the clutches of patriarchy because of nationalism. We see participation of huge numbers of women, especially under the leadership of Gandhiji. Who are the main writers in this? So we have Catherine Mayo, Pandita Ramabai. Pandita Ramabai are the major persons with respect to the feminist history writing. So we will move to the main topic, advent of Europeans. How Europeans advented into India. That is how they came into India. Who were the first who came to India? Yes, it is the Portuguese. So the Portuguese came during the 16th century. So they came during 16th century, right? So what happens after till the end of 6th century, Greece and Rome till end of 6th century. So that is up to 550 BC. Till then it was a Greece and Rome. Greece and Rome kingdoms had overwhelming authority over the trade, extensive trade. They were having extensive authority over the trade. So after which, what happens? There was a quest for sea route to India. India was one of the most prosperous country, especially India's goods. This Indian silk, Indian cotton, Indian textiles, Indian handicrafts, Indian artisan made goods, Indian agriculture, spices, calicos, and also pepper, cinnamon and coffee. All these were, and pearls, everything were very famous across the world. So especially the spices were in huge demand in Europe. So what used to happen? So they were looking for a direct sea route, because what happens in 1453 Constantinople. So Constantinople, it is in the somewhere around the modern day Turkey. Okay, that fell to the Turks, Ottoman Turks. Constantinople, which was earlier under the rule of whom? So it was under the rule of Egypt and Persia. So later on, after 1453, Constantinople fell to the Ottoman Turks. Ottoman Turks established their rule over the Constantinople in the modern day Turkey region. So that was the connecting point. That was the connecting point for the Europe and India. So it was the connecting point. There was no direct connection. So they had to come via Constantinople only in order to access Indian goods. So what happened? So from India, these Ottoman Turks, people, these Muslims used to buy the goods and they used to in turn sell it to Europe. So in being middlemen, they used to make huge profits. There were instances where Indian goods were sold up to 10 times of the price it was bought. So these European merchants were in constant search for direct sea route. So direct sea route to India. So also, you know that 15th century there was Europe was gripped by Renaissance. Renaissance means from the movement from the Dark Ages. Medieval era is known as Dark Era. There was huge belief in the church and also religion. There was social decadence. There was feudalism. However, Renaissance, new ideas, liberalism, and also new political ideas comes, and also new search for science and technology, new belief systems, and also opposition to church. All this comes under when? Under the Renaissance. In the Renaissance period, this shipbuilding industry also, as a part of the first phase of industrialization, this shipbuilding industries also gain momentum, right? So also, because of Renaissance, Europeans were gripped by the scope or gripped by the spirit of adventurism. They wanted to explore the entire world. So because of these two reasons, one is availability of ships, second is the spirit of exploration. So what they did, they wanted to find a sea route to India rather than this route. So what happens? There was one prince in the Portugal. So this prince name is called Prince Henry. This person was called as a navigator because he was of huge zeal. He had a huge zeal to find a sea route to India. However, he could not find it. However, afterwards, there will be a treaty in 1494. In 1494, there will be a treaty. This treaty is called Treaty of Tordesillas. So, I don't know how they spell it. It is called Tordesillas. Tordesillas. This treaty, what happens? If suppose this is the world, half of it was divided, and this side was given to Portugal, and this side was given to Spain. Portuguese are free to explore towards the east. Spanish are free to explore towards the west. That's why we don't find Spain invasion in the eastern countries. So Spanish concentrated on the Americans. Okay. So afterwards, Bartholomew Dias, this person comes to Cape of Good Hope. Where is Cape of Good Hope? It is in the tip of South Africa. It is in the tip of African continent and also the tip of South African continent. So he comes here and does not reach India. Who reaches India? It is Vasco da Gama. Vasco da Gama reaches India in 1498. 3 ships under him reach India, right? The western coast. So this western coast was under this Calicut. They reached the place called Calicut. So this was under the rule of a ruler called Zamorin. This guy also called Samutri. So this guy gave a good reception to Vasco da Gama. Atithi Devo Bhava. So they gave a good reception to Vasco da Gama. So because of this, they wanted to monopolize. This Portuguese wanted to monopolize the trade. They came to India with the intention to monopolize the trade with India. Nobody else will be allowed to trade with India. No Europeans, no other European countries. They wanted to monopolize the trade. Okay. So Vasco da Gama went back. He took a large amount of goods and sold it at huge profits in the European continent. Next comes Pedro Alvarez Cabral. Who comes next? It is Cabral. He is also a Portuguese navigator. This guy negotiated with the local ruler and establishes a factory. So he establishes a factory. What factory? It is a trading factory. There trading used to take place, export and import. So he establishes a factory at Calicut. So once this Cabral comes, the sea trade was dominated by the Muslim merchants, Arab merchants. They fight with Cabral. There will be a huge violence between Portuguese and the Arabs. So lot of people die in this violence. So this Cabral actually kills many Arab shipping merchants. Their ships will be sunk. Next comes Francois de Almeida. So who is he? he gets appointed as a governor in India, Portuguese governor in India. This is the beginning of political appointment. Francois de Almeida starts with this appointment as governor in India. Political control or political appointment starts in India. Okay, so he also had a similar goal. What goal? He wanted to also destroy the Muslim trade. Okay. So they also, while trading, they were in constant conflict with the Arab nations. So we have, suppose India is here. Here we have Arabian Sea. This side we have the Arabian countries, right? So when the Portuguese used to come by this way, even the Arab ships used to come, and there used to be conflict. So he wins the war against the Arabian ships. He wins the battle against the Arabian ship. So with respect to Francois de Almeida, one point is important. This point is blue water policy or Karta's system. So he gives a statement. He says what? He says, as long as you may be powerful at sea, you will hold India as yours. As long as you are powerful at sea, India is yours. If you don't possess this power, nothing is available. This is what said by the Francois de Almeida. Next comes the most important person, Alfonso de Albuquerque. So what does he do? He also was appointed as a governor in India. So he is the real founder of Portuguese power in the East. So he is the real founder of the power of Portuguese in the East. Okay. So he establishes many bases, strategic bases. So strategic bases. So what do you mean by strategic? Strategic means important from political and security perspective. So in order to safeguard one's own interest, right? So this guy, Alfonso de Albuquerque, establishes many strategic posts along the west coast. Okay, so he acquired Goa from Sultan of Bijapur. So Goa would be under the control of whom? Sultan of Bijapur. Who acquires it? Alfonso de Albuquerque acquires Goa from Bijapur. So even after independence, Goa was under the control of Portuguese. So after acquisition of Goa from Bijapur, he brings about many reforms. Alfonso de Albuquerque brings about many reforms in Goa. What are the reforms? Abolition of sati system. Abolition of sati system was brought, social reform, and also economic reforms. New crops were grown. What are the new crops? Cashew nut, tobacco, new varieties of coconut were introduced by Alfonso de Albuquerque. So these were the reforms by Alfonso de Albuquerque. Next governor who comes to India is Nino da Cunha. So he is also a Portuguese governor who came to India. So one of the important thing which he did was, earlier the Portuguese capital in India, headquarters in India was in Cochin, today's Kozhikode. So earlier it was in Cochin. So what does he do? He shifts the capital to Goa. So capital of Portuguese was shifted by Nino da Cunha from Cochin to Goa. Okay. So this was the reform during Nino da Cunha. So here one incident happens during Cunha's rule. What's the incident? Here there will be a conflict between Gujarati ruler Bahadur Shah. Bahadur Shah used to be a Gujarati ruler which is in proximity to Goa. So here is Gujarat. So suppose here is Goa. So the ruler from here and Portuguese were in conflict. What happens? This Portuguese kill the Gujarati governor. It is one of the blunders because of which they lose favor in that region. So they lose support in that region because of killing of the ruler. Okay. Okay. So for most of the time they were confined to Goa. Why? These Portuguese who came to India, for most of the time they were confined to Goa because if they had to expand, they had to go to Gujarat. But Gujarat was ruled by a powerful ruler. To the right, they had Vijayanagara kingdom. So they had Vijayanagara kingdom. Also here they had Marathas. So because of this, they could not establish a strong rule. So they were confined to Goa for a long time. So Portuguese state in India. That is, what was the Portuguese government in India? So this government was called as Estado Português da India. So the name is not important. It is called State of Portuguese India. So Portuguese government in India. So this government, so Vasco da Gama comes in 1498. So within 50 years of Vasco da Gama's arrival, Portuguese state gets established. Within 50 years, Portuguese state gets established in India. Okay, with their headquarters in Goa. So they had built many fortresses and trading posts. Forts and trading posts along the western coast. They had fortress in Cochin, they had fortress in Mangalore, and along the Arabian Sea, that is the western border, they had fortresses. Okay, also this Portuguese state exchanged ambassadors. So exchanged ambassadors with local rulers. They exchanged ambassadors with Vijayanagara kingdom. So Vijayanagara kingdom, if you see the rule of Krishnadevaraya, you can find that there were many Portuguese ambassadors. Even Portuguese were involved in the architectural construction of Vijayanagara times. That is, if you see this Vijaya Vitala temple and many other temples, there were contribution by Portuguese artists as well. So this is the Portuguese state. So how was the Portuguese administration established in India? What was the hierarchy? So there used to be a viceroy. Earlier there used to be governor. Later on the governor name was converted to viceroy. He was the head of Portuguese state in India. He used to head the Portuguese state in India. So his name, the name of the post is called viceroy. So religious policy of Portuguese. So religious policy means this Portuguese actually came with a zeal. That is, they wanted to support the Christianity. They wanted to expand Christianity. So what they do? They initially go against the Muslims. They persecute the Muslims. They punish the Muslims. Later on, they start punishing the Hindus as well. They start converting the Hindus also into Christianity. So there is a method, Inquisition method. Under Inquisition method, Hindus gets punished in Goa. Inquisition methods, what used to happen? Those who gets converted to Christianity, even after conversion, if they follow the old Hindu religion, they would be punished. Under Inquisition, the Christians, the converts to Christians who followed earlier Hinduism were punished and were thrown out of Goa. They came and resided in Karnataka region. Okay, so initially they were against Muslims. Later on, they turn against even the Hindus as well. Okay. So what happens? Even during this time, Akbar, Mughal ruler. So he had established his own religion. Akbar's religion is called Sulai Kul. So what happens? This Akbar has interest in understanding various other religions. Though he was born a Muslim, he wanted to understand various other religions. So what he does, he invites learned Christians from the Portuguese Empire, Portuguese state, to come and reside in Delhi. So this opportunity was seen by the Portuguese state to convert Akbar into Christianity. Since Akbar extends invitation to Portuguese religious members, few fathers. So few fathers were invited by Akbar. So these Portuguese in turn, what they believe, they think that Akbar wants to get converted into Christianity. So they sent two fathers, Father Rudolph and one more person. They tried to influence Akbar to get him converted into Christianity. However, they failed. Akbar was just interested in knowing Christianity, not to get converted into Christianity. So after Akbar, we have Prince Salim. Who is Prince Salim? Jahangir. Jahangir actually initially neglects the Jesuits. Jesuits means Portuguese fathers, Portuguese religious representatives. Jahangir initially neglects them. However, later on they reconcile. They become friends with the Portuguese, and Mughals become friends. Okay. So during this time, Portuguese losing favor with Mughals. So initially they were friends from Akbar to Jahangir rule. However, later on they lose favor with Mughals. That is, they become enemies. Why do they lose favor? Here one incident happens. So Captain William Hawkins from United Kingdom, from Britain. So this guy, Captain William Hawkins from Britain, comes to Mughal Empire. He wanted to establish trading ports, factories in India. So these Portuguese want to stop this Englishman from establishing factories in India. So rivalry breaks out in the Delhi between whom? Between Portuguese and the English. Okay. So the trading facilities to English were not extended because of Portuguese influence. So later on, because Captain Hawkins gets frustrated and leaves the Mughal Empire without any favorable results about establishing trading facility in India. So afterwards, during this time, one more incident happens. So these Portuguese were involved in piracy. So today what you see as piracy in Indian Ocean, that is Somalia and our surrounding African region, it has origin in the Portuguese. Portuguese were the earliest pirates. So they used to do piracy in the sea and loot the goods of other ships. They used to loot the money from other ships. Because of this reason also, the Mughal Empire gets angered. He gets angered. So also capture of Hooghly. So where is Hooghly? Hooghly is in West Bengal. So it is in West Bengal. So what happens? This Portuguese, so it is a river. So they capture Hooghly. So they capture Hooghly and try to build a fort. They try to build a fort in Hooghly. However, local Muslim rulers object to building any fort. There also they go against the Mughals. There also rivalry begins. Rivalry gets intensified. And also one more reason is Portuguese were involved in slave trade. They used to capture Indians and take them and sell them as slaves in Americas, Europes and other places. So they used to capture Indians and sell them as slaves. That also angered the Indian rulers, Mughal rulers. Because of all these reasons, they lose favor with Mughals. They become enemies of Mughals. Next, how did the Portuguese state in India decline? How did they decline? So they neglected their commercial interest. they neglected their any state, any foreign entity grows if they are economically strong, only when they are economically strong. But Portuguese came with a trading intention, but their interest later on got divided into political interest and religious interest, and they neglected the trading or economic aspect. That is one of the factors for declining of the Portuguese empire, neglect of the commercial interest. Then also their acts of piracy and other things, that is also a reason. And also capture of Hooghly also angered the rulers, that is also a reason. Moreover, the religious policies, that is conversion of people into Christianity, forcefully converting Indians into Christianity, that is also the reason of decline of Portuguese. Along with that, dishonest trading practices, what they used to trade, they used to do it dishonestly. They were not paying any local taxes. They used to forcefully buy the goods from the native Indians. They used to buy the goods from Indians at a very low price. That is also one of the reasons. Dishonest trading policy is also one of the reasons for decline of Portuguese. And one more reason is, external reason is, Portuguese found Brazil. So their interest towards Brazil increased rather than India. That is also one of the reason of decline of Portuguese empire in India. What is the significance of Portuguese? So what is the significance of Portuguese in India? So they were a naval power. They were a significant naval power. That is, they had many modern ships, because of which we have, I already told you, this Cabral's policy, Almeida's policy. Franco's Almeida's policy of blue water policy or Carthage's system. So what does he say in Carthage's system? As long as you are strong at sea, you hold India. So they were very strong in sea. They were a significant naval power. They built double-decker ships, and also they had cannons, that is guns and cannons, that is Firangis. They were mounted on the ships. These cannons were carried in the ships. So they were the most advanced ships of the time. Okay, so military innovation. So they had these field guns, body armor, matchlock, and many other things. So that military advancements came to India because of Portuguese. That is one of the significance. And the second significance is, most advanced ships were introduced to Indians. And the third thing is their bad memory. That is the memory of religious persecution has an impact on Indian minds. Okay. Next, we will move towards the Dutch. So, Dutch are Danes. So, who are the Dutch? So, what you call today as Netherlands. So, it is a small country today. People from Netherlands were called as Dutch. Danes are different. Danes are the people belonging to Denmark. So, Dutch are people from Netherlands. Okay. So, Dutch settlements. Where were the Dutch settlements in India? Their major settlement was in Masulipatam. So, where is Masulipatam? It is in Andhra Pradesh. So, they established a factory in Masulipatam in 1605. More than 100 years after the Portuguese came. They were the second people to come to India. So they faced the threat of Portuguese. There was Portuguese versus Dutch rivalry. They established factories along the Coromandel coast. So the Portuguese established factories along the Malabar coast, which is towards Arabian Sea. So Coromandel coast towards Tamil Nadu, Chennai, so which is towards Bay of Bengal. These Dutch established factories along the Coromandel coast. So what were some of the factories? Karaikal is there, which is today in Puducherry. Next we have Chinsura is there, Balasore is there, Kasim Bazar. These were the factories, important factories of the Dutch. So they were interested in textile trade, trading in textiles. They were interested in silk trade. They were also interested in opioids, which is derived from opioids. So also saltpetre. So they were interested in saltpetre and rice trade. Anglo-Dutch rivalry. So the main rivalry, even though they face with Portuguese, the main rivalry comes from English. So they have a rivalry with English. So this Indonesia. So this Dutch people were concentrated in the Indonesian, that is Malayan Peninsula, Malaysia, Singapore, and also we have Malaysia, Singapore, and also we have this Indonesian region, right? So all this region. So we have Myanmar from here, and Thailand is here, Myanmar, and here comes your Malaysia, and at the tip you have we have in this region we have Singapore, and here we have Indonesia, Sumatra, Java, and Indonesia. So this is Myanmar, this is Malaysia, this is Singapore. So they were mainly concentrated in this region. Dutch were mainly concentrated in the Indonesian region. So in Indonesia there is a battle. Battle takes place between whom? Between English and Dutch, and there they lose. So there they lose, and also so in Indonesia they win actually. Dutch actually win in Indonesia. They lose in India. In India there is a battle in India as well. There is a battle in India as well. There in 60-67, in the Battle of Hooghly. Battle of Hooghly finally happens in 1759. 1759, Battle of Hooghly. Dutch lose with Indians. Dutch lose with Europeans. Englishmen. So an agreement happens between Englishmen and Dutch. So what agreement? Englishmen say, British say they are going to focus on India, and Dutch say they are going to focus on Indonesia. So they divide and rule. Divide the territories among themselves and rule. Okay. So next we have, decline. I already told decline. One is Battle of Amboina in Indonesia. Next is Battle of Hooghly. In these two, in the Battle of Hooghly, the Dutch lose and confine themselves to where? Indonesian region, and give up the claims on India. They don't enter India afterwards. Next we have the major power, English. So the British. How did the British come? Okay. So in the 16th century, around 1580, what happens? This Spanish Armada. There is a region called Spanish Armada. So it is it is having a border with Atlantic Ocean. Even I am not clear where Armada is, but I believe it is somewhere near to your Morocco. Okay, so this Englishmen win the Spanish Armada region. Okay, they win victory over Spanish Armada, and also they were having there is one person called Frank. So this person, Francis Drake, he goes on a voyage around the world. Francis Drake travels the entire world. So he says that because inspired by him, many Englishmen take up travel to the east. So these men were called merchant navigators. So they were merchants in first place. They wanted to trade in spices and many other things. But also they were navigators. Navigators means who travel on the ship. They were called navigators, and also called merchant adventurers. Merchant adventurers. So because they were adventuring into new regions, earlier unknown regions, they were also called merchant adventurers. So here, charter of Queen Elizabeth II. Queen Elizabeth II is the present Queen. Queen Elizabeth I gives a charter. So what is this charter? They gave this East India Company rights to trade exclusively with the India. So no other English company can trade with India. It is the sole prerogative of the whom? East India Company. It was given by the charter of the Queen. Charter given in 1600. This is the most important charter. Progress of English Company. How did English Company progress? I already mentioned around 1612. This Captain Hawkins, 1609, sorry. In 1609, Jahangir's court, Captain Hawkins come. So he comes and does what? He wanted to establish certain trading posts and also certain factories. However, because of Portuguese opposed this, because of which he doesn't get any favor from the Mughals, that is from Jahangir. So later what happens? There is one incident happens. So why these Mughals agree to Portuguese means, so Mughals did not have any naval power, that is they did not have any navy. So they were fearful of Portuguese who were strong at the ocean. That is why they were in compromise with the Portuguese. They were agreeing to Portuguese. But here one incident happens. One person called Captain Thomas Best. What does he do? He defeats the Portuguese in the naval battle. Thomas Best defeats the Portuguese in the naval battle. This incident comes to the Mughals. Mughals hear this incident. They believe that, okay, there are some powers who are more powerful than Portuguese at the sea. So then they extend the privileges or the courtesy to the English. Then 1615, 6 years later, Sir Thomas Roe comes to the court of Jahangir. He comes to the court of Jahangir and he obtains certain privileges. So here the English initially had to contend with two powers who had come earlier. Two powers, 1605, already told. Dutch had come, 1498, Portuguese had come. So with both of them, they had to fight. So what happens? Here one incident happens. In 1662, a Portuguese queen, a Portuguese princess was married to English prince as a dowry. So even dowry was practiced in the Europe. So when the Portuguese princess Catherine, she marries a England prince, what happens? They give Bombay, which was under the control of Portuguese. So this was given to English as a dowry because of marriage between Princess Catherine and a English prince. Okay, so they established their trading post. They established the trading post in Bombay. So earlier, after Thomas Roe comes to India, they establish a factory in Surat. After they get Bombay, they shift their headquarters to Bombay. So Bombay was earlier a barren island. So later it was developed. So today Bombay is one of the most advanced city, Mumbai. Okay, so later on, what happens? So Portuguese, this dowry take place, and also in the Battle of Amboyana and Battle of Hooghly, compromise between Dutch and English also take place. So what happens? The position of English in India were clear. They can clearly establish their rule. Here one good incident happened. What incident? So in 1632, a golden firman was issued by ruler of Bijapur. Ruler of Bijapur. It is a firman. Firman means what? It is a privilege, trade privilege. So in this firman, in this golden firman, the ruler extended the trade privileges, that is free trade, without paying any taxes. Without paying any taxes, they were free to trade in India. So in turn, they had to pay what? Just 500 pagodas. Pagodas were a currency. So this golden firman was first given by ruler of Bijapur. Just pay 500 pagodas, and for the entire year you trade for free. So nobody will disturb you. Next, how did they establish rule in Bengal? So establishment of rule in Bengal region. So Bengal region, how did the British establish rule? So Bengal was the richest province of India. Bengal was one of the richest provinces in India. It was advanced in trade and commerce. Too much trade and commerce was taking place. So you might know that earlier it was not the Delhi which was the capital of India. Which was the capital of India? It was Kolkata. Now it is called Calcutta. Now it is called Kolkata. Earlier it was called as Calcutta. So earlier it was called as Calcutta. Okay. Now it is called Kolkata. So the capital gets shifted to Delhi only in 1911. Before 1911, it was the Kolkata, Calcutta, which was the capital of British India. Okay, we will discuss that when we come to Swadeshi movement. So, one is how did they get foothold in Bengal? So, Shah Suja, a Subadar or governor of Bengal, he also in turn return of just pay 3,000 rupees per year and trade freely. He also gives a firman, and the ruler name is Shah Suja. He also gives firman to the English, just pay 3,000 rupees and trade freely for the entire year. Okay, so here one incident happened. So what is this incident? So this company, that is English company, they wanted to fortify. Fortify means what? Hooghly. So they want to build a fort around the Hooghly region. So building a fort was always treated as a threat by any ruler, because nobody can get into the fort. So against the permission of the Mughal rulers, the Englishmen start building fort around the Hooghly. So this causes dissentment, this causes angry in the Mughal with the Mughals, and they attack this fort. They attack Hooghly and sack it. So Englishmen were driven out of Hooghly. They were thrown out of Hooghly. Then what happens? One person called Job Charnock. So he was the one who establishes Calcutta. Calcutta was established by whom? John Charnock. John or Job? John Charnock. Sorry, Job Charnock. Job Charnock. Job Charnock. So he negotiates with the Mughals. He negotiates with the Mughals and establishes what? He negotiates with the Mughals and establishes a settlement in Sutanutti. So Kolkata is a group of 3 villages, Sutanutti and Kalikata and one more village. So these 3 villages come together to form Kolkata. Kalikata, Sutanutti and Gobindpur. So these 3 villages come together to form Kolkata, the fortified settlement. So they this Jab Charnak negotiates with the Mughals, and the Mughals agree to fortify. They agree to give these 3 places and Gobindpur to this Englishmen. In turn, they start building it as a new city. Here one more incident happens. A local ruler, not the Mughals. So he attacks these 3 regions. So when the local ruler attacks this Sultanutti, Kalikata and Gobindpur, the Englishmen go and request the Mughals, if you don't give us permission to build fort, we will be vulnerable to attacks by the local rulers. So then they get permission to build fort. Then they build what fort? They build Fort William. This fort name is important. Fort William. It is the headquarters of British in the Calcutta region. In the Madras, what was the fort? It is called Fort St. George. Fort St. George. So in the Kolkata it is Fort William. In Madras it is Fort St. George. So Farrukh Siyar's Farman. So similar to the Bijapur ruler Farman and also the Farman of the Bengal Subedar. So Farrukh Siyar, that is, he is a Mughal emperor. Mughal emperor after Bahadur Shah. After Bahadur Shah. So after Aurangzeb, who comes? It is Bahadur Shah. After Bahadur Shah, it is Farrukh Siyar. Farrukh Siyar, he gives a farman. So it is a free trading privilege. So what does this farman say? Just pay 3,000 rupees per year and do free trade. Just pay 3,000 rupees per year and do free trade. No need to pay any taxes. So in turn, they were given dastaks, passes. Passes were given. Free trade passes. Free trade passes. If they show this pass to the local rulers, they were exempted from the taxation. They were exempted from the taxation. These free trade passes were called as dastaks. They were called as dastaks. So the name is important. It will be asked in your prelims exam. Dastaks, passes for free trade. So along with this farman granted many other privileges. The English were permitted to rent more lands. More lands were allowed to be rented. They could rent more land around the region. So in the Hyderabad region and Madras region, whatever the earlier, so the Mughals were having control over the entire India, right? They were having control over entire India. So here from the Bijapur, they had obtained farman. So farman to do free trade in the Hyderabad region as well. This was continued. But Madras region only, they had to pay taxes. Rent, that is rent. In Surat, they were demanded 10,000 rupees annual payment. These were certain conditions of the farman granted by whom? Granted by Farrukh Siyar in 1715. In 1715, Farrukh Siyar grants this farman. Okay. Next, we will move towards French power in India. French power in India. So, foundation of French centers in India. Which were the French centers in India? Okay. Foundation of French center. So, French center, it is majorly Pondicherry. However, there were many other centers as well. So when did the French come to India? They came last. So they came in 1664. French were the last to come to India. Okay. So French East India Company was established in 1664. So 1664, the French East India Company was established, and they were granted privilege for exclusive trade. That is, no other French company can trade with India. Only this French East India Company can only trade with India. This was the privilege granted to them. So later on, they established factories at Surat. So they established factory at Surat, at Masulipatnam, at Golconda, and many other places. So which was the headquarters? The headquarters was Pondicherry. Pondicherry was the headquarters of the French power. So who founded Pondicherry? So Pondicherry was founded by Francois Martin. Francois Martin. So Kolkata, Job Charnock, Pondicherry was founded by Francois Martin. Okay. So this Francois Martin was who was he? He was a French governor. He was a French governor. So they also had trading posts, trading centers. France had trading centers in Mahe, Karaikal. So both of Mahe and Karaikal are today in where? They were today part of Puducherry Union Territory. Earlier it was called Pondicherry. Now the name is changed to Puducherry. Okay. So Mahe, Karaikal and Puducherry. So one more place is there. Mahe, Karaikal, Sutanuti. So not Sutanuti. One more place is there. So totally 4 places form a part of Union Territory of Pondicherry. Okay, France had a trading post at Mahe, Karaikal, Balasore and Kasim Bazar. Balasore, Kasim Bazar, Mahe and Karaikal, they had trading posts. Earlier setbacks to French East Indian Company. What was the earlier setbacks? Because earlier we have Dutch was there, Portuguese was there and English was there. So these were the, because of this there was lot of rivalry. So in 1693, these Dutch people, Netherlands people capture Pondicherry. They go and capture Pondicherry from whom? They capture Pondicherry from the French in 1693. Later on, one treaty happens. The treaty name is Treaty of Ryswick. R-Y-S-W-I-C-K. Ryswick. 1697. By this treaty, Pondicherry comes back to French. Pondicherry comes back to French. Treaty of Ryswick between whom? Dutch and France. Dutch and France, by which Pondicherry was returned to France. Okay, so here one incident happens. The incident is Spanish succession, war of Spanish succession in Spain. In Spain there is a war of succession. That is, who are going to own the Spanish region? Who are going to own the Spanish region? So this war of Spanish succession takes place in Europe, in which French gets involved, in which French and the English, both of them get involved. Okay, so Anglo-French struggle for supremacy. Anglo-French struggle for supremacy. The Carnatic Wars. Carnatic Wars. So your name, your state name Karnataka comes from this name only, Carnatic. Okay. So Carnatic Wars. These wars were fought between whom? They were fought between English and French. Background of the rivalry. So British and France rivalry actually goes back to the rivalry in the Europe itself. In Europe itself, the British and France were having rivalry. That rivalry manifested in India as well between both the powers. Okay. So both of them envisioned establishing political power. That is, both of them wanted to have a political power in India. Both of them, France and English, both of them wanted to rule India, right? They wanted to rule India. That is why they came into discord. So also there was an outbreak of Austrian War of Succession. After Spanish War of Succession, Austrian War of Succession also take place. There also Austria, it is also in Europe. There also France and England were involved. And also there will be 7 years war. 7 years war also takes place between the English and France. So all these reasons were responsible for the Carnatic wars. So in 1740, Hyderabad was ruled by Nizam Asaf Jah. It was ruled by Nizam Asaf Jah. So Coromandel Coast did not have any strong ruler apart from this Nizam Asaf Jah, who was not a very strong ruler. So I am giving the what I told earlier: Spanish, Austrian War of Succession, Spanish War of Succession, and also 7 Years War. External reason. Internal reason: this Asaf Jah was not a very strong ruler. He was battling Marathas. He was engaged in battle with Marathas. So there was no strong ruler in the South India. No strong rulers in the South India. So it gave a space for English and the French to intervene. For English and French to intervene. First Carnatic War. When did it take place? It took place between 1740 and 1748. Between 1740 and 1748, First Carnatic War takes place. So it is the reason, background is there was 7 Years War. Sorry, not the 7 Years War. In the Europe there was Austrian War of Succession. Who had to succeed the throne of Austria, that is, who had to become the king of Austria. So there was a war. In that war, this French and England, both of them were involved. So that was the background cause. Immediate cause. What is the immediate cause? So some English Navy seized some French ships. That is, this English Navy captures some French ship. That starts the first Carnatic War. So here there was no victor or vanquished. So there was no victor or vanquished in this war. There is one treaty which happens. So this treaty is called La Chapelle. AIX La Chapelle. These treaty names are important. It will be asked in your prelims. La Chapelle, first Anglo-French War, first Carnatic War between whom? Between France and English. So what is the significance of this war? So here one battle takes place. So in a war is a major fight. So battle is a fight relatively small. So relatively small compared to war. Right? Here one battle takes place. This battle is called Battle of Saint Thome. Battle of Saint Thome. Where is this Saint Thome? It is in Madras on the Adyar River. So you have A to B, Adyar Anand Bhavan. So on this Adyar River, there is this place called Saint Thome. Here one battles take place. So here what happens? It was fought between French and forces of Anwaruddin. So French versus Anwaruddin. Who is this Anwaruddin? He was the Nawab of Carnatic. So this Carnatic region. So suppose this is South India. This region was called Carnatic region. So he was the Nawab of Carnatic region. So in this Anwaruddin was the Nawab of Carnatic region. So this French defeat the Anwaruddin. This French defeat the Anwaruddin, Nawab of Carnatic. So only few French forces was able to defeat a big Anwaruddin's forces. So small number of French army can defeat a huge Anwaruddin's army. So what happens? There it was an eye opener. They think that European forces are stronger and well disciplined. They can battle out the opposition, that is the local rulers. Second Carnatic War takes place between 1749 to 1754. Here the causes are more complex. So here one governor comes, French governor. His name is Dupleix. So how you pronounce it? It is so just like Robert Clive, who is the governor of English in India, Dupleix was the governor of French in India. Dupleix. So it is because of Dupleix's role majorly the second Anglo-French War breaks out, because of the role played by the do play. So what is the immediate cause? So Nizam ul Mulk, Chin Kuli Khan. So this Nizam ul Mulk was the founder of Hyderabad. This Nizam ul Mulk was the founder of Hyderabad. So when he dies, there will be a battle for throne. Who will succeed the throne of Hyderabad? So who are involved in the battle? So Muzaffar Jung and also Muzaffar Jung and Nasir Jung. Nasir Jung is the son of this Hyderabad ruler Nizam ul Mulk. So Nasir Jung, his grandson is Muzaffar Jung. Both of them fight for the throne of Hyderabad. That is one of the reason. And also one person called Chanda Sahib. Chanda Sahib is the son of Dost Ali. After Anwaruddin, the new Nawab will be Dost Ali. So this Dost Ali Carnatic, his son-in-law is Chanda Sahib. So he gets released. He would be in prison, he would be released. This person claims the throne of Nawabship of Carnatic because these two reasons. So what does happen? This Dost Ali wants the Nawabship of Carnatic. Both this Nasir Jung and Muzaffar Jung want the Nawabship of Hyderabad. So this actually has the base reason, major reason for the second battle of Carnatic. Okay, so this Dost Ali, instead of appointing Chanda Sahib as the Nawab of Carnatic, he appoints whom? He appoints Anwaruddin. I told you Anwaruddin, Battle of Saint Thome. Anwaruddin gets established. Anwaruddin becomes the Nawab of Carnatic. So this was not liked by the Chanda Sahib. So here what happens? These two, one of them will go to French and one of them will go to English. This person and this person, one of them will go to English, another person will go to French. So this forms the basis for the rivalry. This gives the cause for second Carnatic War. The combined armies of Muzaffar Jung, Chanda Sahib and French defeat and kill Anwaruddin. So Muzaffar Jung, Chanda Sahib and one more power. Who it is? It is French. Muzaffar Jung, Chanda Sahib and French. They form one alliance, and Nasir Jung, Anwaruddin and English form one alliance. So these three powers kill Anwaruddin. They kill Anwaruddin. The battle is called Battle of Ambur. You know the famous Ambur biryani, right? So the same battle of Ambur, where this Anwaruddin gets killed. So and also Duplay was, so Muzaffar Jung, so after Anwaruddin gets killed, so there is no threat. So Muzaffar Jung becomes the Subedar or the Nawab of Hyderabad. So he becomes the Subedar of where? So he becomes the Subedar of the Deccan territories, and this Duplay was appointed as the governor of all Mughal territories. So this Muzaffar Jung becomes the Subedar of Deccan region, and he appoints Duplay as the governor of all South Mughal territories. Who was appointed? Duplay was appointed as the governor. Okay, so here one more incident takes place. A French army would be stationed at Hyderabad. So this French army would be providing security to Muzaffar Jung so that nobody would kill him. So here what happens? Here comes the entry of Robert Clive, one of the major personality in English East India Company. So what happens? So he wanted to recover. See, in the killing of Anwaruddin, English would have lost prestige. They would have lost prestige. So this Robert Clive lays down a plan to defeat these three persons. These three persons they wanted to defeat. So this Robert Clive lays down a plan. What is this plan? So he plans the attack on capital of Carnatic. Attack on capital of Carnatic. So Carnatic would be under the rule of Chanda Sahib. So what happens? He plans an attack on Carnatic capital. Capital is Tiruchirappalli. So he plans an attack on Tiruchirappalli. Okay. So after which, so this Robert Clive attacked and captured Arcot. So actually they first don't attack Tiruchirappalli, they attack Arcot. So when they attack Arcot, this Chanda Sahib will be in the capital, in the Tiruchirappalli he will be there. So what happens? He takes the forces, all his men, and comes to Arcot. He comes to Arcot. So what happens? Tiruchirappalli, nobody will be there. So another English force will capture Tiruchirappalli. In turn, here Chanda Sahib would be killed at Arcot. He would be killed at Arcot. So in this plan, this Chanda Sahib eliminates the Nawab of Carnatic. So as planned by whom? Robert Clive. This Chanda Sahib goes to Arcot. He goes to Arcot, and Tiruchirappalli, nobody will be there. So another English force attacks Tiruchirappalli, and Chanda Sahib gets killed. So the result was English emerged victorious. Okay. So what was the result? So the English demand that this Dupleix should be sent back to France. He should be sent back. So he would be sent back to France. Another person would be appointed as governor of French in India. Dupleix would be sent back. That is one of the result of the Second Carnatic War. And also this French agree that they won't interfere in the local affairs. In local fight between the rulers, the French agree, we are not going to interfere. That is the second result. Okay. Next, what are the implications? Implication means it shows that English are a major power in India. Nobody can defeat them. So it shows this French, when the French gets defeated by English, it shows they are a major power. Okay. So here what happens? Muhammad Ali, this guy. So mostly he must be Anwaruddin's son. So he becomes the Nawab of Carnatic, and Salabat Jung becomes the ruler of Hyderabad. So both of them were supported by whom? Supported by English. So rise, and here we will look at some important points about Dupleix, because he is one of the most famous personality in India during French rule. So Dupleix is a son of a wealthy person, wealthy merchant. Okay. So Dupleix becomes a Governor General of Pondicherry. So he first becomes a Governor General of Pondicherry in 1741. So he faced the Marathas and local rulers. He faces the Marathas, local rulers, and many other threats. Despite these threats, he establishes and secures Pondicherry. So he secures the Pondicherry. Okay, so he fortifies Pondicherry. Fortifies means building a fort around Pondicherry. So why Pondicherry fort was built? In order to resist threat from local rulers and also Marathas, local rulers and Marathas. So he was a master of diplomacy. He used to lay down the plans. These plans, first plan where Anwaruddin was killed. Right? So it was by Chanda Sahib and this Muhammad Ali. Chanda Sahib and Muzaffar Jung and French. So they kill this Anwaruddin, right? So this plan was executed by whom? This plan was executed by Dupleix. Okay. So he was called a master of diplomacy. So he used to lay down the plan. So he interfered in the internal politics. Dupleix was the first governor to interfere in the internal politics. Till Dupleix, no other French ruler, no other French governor interfered in the internal politics. They just were confined themselves to trading. No other person were interfering in the internal politics of India. It was Dupleix who started this bad trend. Okay. So he also starts this policy of subsidiary alliance. We actually think it is started by Lord Wellesley. However, subsidiary alliance, that is, I already told, French army under Bassi gets stationed in Hyderabad to protect whom? To protect Muzaffar Jung. So it is called a policy of subsidiary alliance. This was first started by whom? First started by Dupleix. So why did Dupleix failed in India? So he was a man of plan, not a man of action. He used to just plan and tell his commanders, go and execute. But his plans were complex, not implementable on the ground. Okay. So next, Dupleix was waiting too much for the auspicious moment. He did not act immediately. That was also a reason. So Dupleix was also autocratic. Autocratic means he used to exercise his powers over everyone. So he used to act like a dictator. So all these things were reason for the failure of Dupleix in India. So next, after Dupleix, some other person comes as his name is Gododieu, or his name is not important in the in learning of history. The next governor comes. So now we will talk about the last war. The last war is Third Anglo-French War, Third Carnatic War. So the background for this was provided by 7 Years' War. 7 Years' War, 1756 to 1763. So 7 Years' War in the Europe. In Europe, 7 Years' War was started, and on the opposite sides, France was on one side and England was on other side. So they were on opposite sides, because of which here also the war starts. So the French army initially the French army captures the English forts, and English gets angry. They capture Masulipatam, which was under whom? Which was under the France. Okay, now here one battle is very, very important. Battle of Vandivasi. Vandavasi. So it is in India called Vandavasi. They call it Vandivasi. So this Vandivasi takes place in 1760. It takes place in 1760. So here this French were defeated by the English. In this battle, the French were defeated by the English, and the French commander Count de Lally was taken as a prisoner. Okay, result. So the Third Carnatic War proved decisive. Why? Because French power got exhausted. They were confined to trading only, no more political power. So there actually this was settled by Treaty of Paris. So I told 7 Years' War, right? 7 Years' War. This war ended with Treaty of Paris, and this in turn also ends the Third Carnatic War. Third Carnatic War. So what is the significance? French political influence disappeared. They just remain a trading power. Okay. So they just become a trading power. Okay. Next. So here in the Battle of Vandivas, one important thing is natives served in the armies of both the parties. So French army, Indians were there. English army, Indians were there. So Indians had become good soldiers. English believe that Indians, if trained properly, can become good soldiers. So this also one more significance is it paved the way for India to be conquered by English completely. No other power can conquer India. So it paved the way for conquering of India completely. Okay. Next, causes for French failure. Why did the French fail? So English company was a private company. So private company, they had more freedom. They could take decisions instantly. Whereas French company was a government company. Just like today's government. So if they had to take any decision, if they had to buy even a small gun, this order had to come from England. They had to approve. And also the English Navy was superior to French Navy. Navy was more powerful. So English held three important places. That is Calcutta, Bombay and Madras. So whereas French had only Puducherry. And also French were more, French did not focus on their commercial interest. Just like Portuguese, they neglected their trade. So without trade, no money comes to support the war. That is also one of the reason. Okay, last we will discuss about Danes. Danes means Denmark. So they were a not so significant power. They established a company in 1616 and their factory was founded in Trankebar near Tanjavur. Near Tanjavur. That was the headquarters. So not much importance. They were mainly focused on missionary activities. That is spread of Christianity. No other work. Okay. Reasons for English success. Why did the English succeed? Nature of trading companies. As I told, English company was a private enterprise. So it was funded hugely. So this English company used to raise money by selling stocks, selling shares. So they used to, for the war, if they had to get into a war, they used to raise money by selling stocks to investors in Europe. So since it's a private company, there was lot of freedom. However, other companies were government enterprises. That is one of the reason. Next is naval superiority. English ships were far better, far advanced. So that is also a reason. Next is industrial revolution. So in England during the 17th century or the late or the middle from 1760 actually industrial revolution begins. But even before that we had the age of enlightenment. Enlightenment comes as a next stage of Renaissance. So industrial revolution, many modern arms, modern equipments, modern machines were manufactured. So also whatever manufactured were sold. So it gave huge money to the English, which they could support the war. Military discipline. English military was lot disciplined compared to other militaries. Okay. Next, English government, democracy after the Glorious Revolution. Glorious Revolution happens in England, because of which the power from crown gets power from the king or queen gets shifted to the democratic government. After glorious revolution, England was ruled by stable government. So they less focused on religion. For them, religion is not important because they were Protestants. English were Protestants. So there are two religions. One is Roman Catholics, another is Protestants. They were not focusing on religion on much, whereas they were focusing on polity and economy more, and use of debt market. Use of debt market, I already told, rising of shares for financing the war efforts. So next, we'll talk about India on the eve of British conquest. So before British conquered, what was the position of India? What was the position of India? Okay. So challenges before Mughals. So before British conquest, we already know we were ruled by whom? By the Mughals. So Aurangzeb was the last most important powerful ruler. He ruled from 1658 and until 1707. So after which we have Bahadur Shah and many other rulers. Okay, challenges before the Mughals, external challenges. So external challenges, you know, Persian Emperor Nadir Shah. Nadir Shah invades India. He plunders Delhi. He loots the money. He takes even our peacock throne, and also your Kohinoor diamond is taken away by Nadir Shah, right? So he plunders Delhi during 1739. So he captures the Mughal king. Muhammad Shah gets captured. So Nadir Shah invasion weakens the Delhi. After Nadir Shah, Ahmad Shah Abdali. Ahmad Shah Abdali invades India in 1747. Within a span of 10 years, two major invasions in India. So inside India, this Ahmad Shah Abdali also plunders India. So he even goes to the extent of appointing the next Mughal ruler. Who will be the next Mughal ruler will be decided by whom? Decided by Ahmad Shah Abdali. He also plunders India. So even Ahmad Shah Abdali's rule is important because he even defeats the Marathas. 1761, he comes to India in the third battle of Panipat. So third battle of Panipat. So where was the other two battles? First was during Babur's time, second was during Akbar's time, third was during the Maratha rule. So Marathas gets defeated in Panipat. Third battle of Panipat, most important battle from the history perspective. 1761, this Ahmad Shah Abdali defeats the Marathas. Okay, let us first see about Panipat. So I already said, first battle of Panipat between Babur and Ibrahim Lodi, 1526. 1526, first battle of Panipat. Second battle of Panipat, 1556. 1556, that is a span of 30 years, Akbar and Hemu, between Akbar and Hemu. Third battle of Panipat, 1761, between Marathas and Ahmad Shah Abdali. Okay, weak rulers of internal challenge. What are the internal challenges? After your Aurangzeb, there was no strong ruler among the Mughals. No strong rulers. This Bahadur Shah, I already told, Bahadur Shah. So he was not a very strong ruler. So he adopted a pacifist policy to Marathas. That is, he was very smooth or soft towards Marathas and Rajputs. That was also a reason for decline. So he was seen as a weak ruler. After which you have Jahandar Shah. After which we have Farrukh Shihar. Farrukh Shihar, important from the Farman. I already told, Farman was granted to British by Farrukh Shihar. Okay, so that is the granting of Dastaks. Dastaks were granted to British by Farrukh Shihar. Later on, we have Muhammad Shah. So Muhammad Shah He was the longest serving ruler after Aurangzeb. He rules from 1719 up to 1748. He was infamously called Rangila. Why Rangila? Because he was given to pleasure. He was just satisfied with drinking alcohol or enjoying luxurious lifestyle. He was not focusing on the ruling of the empire. Okay. So Nadir Shah, I told Nadir Shah comes during the rule of Muhammad Shah. During whose rule Nadir Shah comes? Important. They are going to ask. Nadir Shah comes during the rule of Muhammad Shah. Okay. So there one important battle takes place. That battle is called Battle of Karnal. Battle of Karnal between Muhammad Shah and Nadir Shah. Next we have not any ruler. He is important. After this, everyone are very weak rulers. So last we have Mughal ruler is Bahadur Shah II. Bahadur Shah II. Causes for decline of Mughal Empire. Why did the Mughal Empire decline? So Mughal Empire was so the reasons were two. One is empire related, another is region related. Empire related means what? So the reasons which were related to the weakness of the empire. What was the weakness of empire? Those were the empire related reasons. Next we have the region related reasons. So India was a vast territory. So there were many regions. So regionally we had many reasons to decline of the Mughals. So okay. So we have after the death of Aurangzeb, we have this emergence of Marathas, emergence of Sikhs, and emergence of Rajputs. They were regional rivals. There were regional rivals for the whom? For the Mughal Empire. So shifting allegiance of zamindars. So this Mughal rule was also called as a rule of zamindars. So the actually two classes shared the power with the emperor. One is the zamindar and the nobles. Here emperor is there, so he had overwhelming authority. Nobles and zamindars, they used to have share the power of the emperor. So below emperor, zamindars and nobles. So they were sharing the powers. They were so many zamindars. Zamindars called Rais, Rajas, Thakurs and Deshmukhs. They were the former zamindars. So they were having heading local administration. They used to collect revenue and also they used to maintain soldiers. Their loyalties, so to whom they supported, whether they supported the emperor or they supported the Marathas or the Sikhs or the Rajputs. So they were vacillating. Vacillating means so they were not having any strong policy about whom they supported. Sometimes they used to support the emperor, sometimes the local rulers. That is why the empire became weak, because the shifting allegiance, they used to shift their support from one to other. Okay, next is Jagirdari crisis. Jagirdari crisis, what do you mean by Jagirdari crisis? During the reign of Akbar, they used to give, there was Mansabdari system. However, Jagirdari system, this nobles were given Jagirs. So Jagir means if this is the land was divided into many Jagirs and given to some local ruler or nobles. He had to collect the revenue from the local area. That person had to collect the revenue or the tax from the local area, and in turn he had to submit the revenue to he had to pay not the entire revenue, some amount to the empire, So the entire Mughal empire was divided into many Jagirs. So there was no Jagir, there was demand for new Jagir. There are people who are demanding more Jagirs. There was no Jagir to be given. Okay, so these Rajput rulers, Subadar, Mansabdars, everybody, they were demanding more Jagirs. So Jagirs was not available. So that is one of the reason. Next is rise of regional aspirations. So we have Hyderabad kingdom, we have Awadh kingdom, Bengal kingdom. So regional powers come to rule. Regional powers come to rule. Regional powers, Jats, Sikhs, Marathas. Jats are there, Sikhs are there, Marathas are there. So many regional powers come to rule, because of which the central authority weakens. Because the regional powers become stronger, the central authority weakens. The central authority weakens. These powers become stronger. Okay. So these local powers become stronger, and the central power becomes weak. So Marathas were one of the strong local powers. Marathas were one of the strong local powers. Because of emergence of Marathas, the strength of the central administration weakened. Next, economic and administrative problems. Economic and administrative problems. So one is, even your Jagirdari crisis can also be treated as a economic problem. So there was no effective taxation system. Tax was forcefully extracted even during famine, even during drought, when there was no crops. Even then the tax had to be paid. That caused resentment, so that caused anger among the local peasants. Okay, so and also we have the economy had stagnated. The economy was not growing. So that is the reason for the decline of the Mughal Empire. Rise of regional states. Successor states. Okay. Rise of regional states. So we will do the rise of regional states tomorrow, because there is a class here at 3:45. We will end the class today and we will come back tomorrow and continue the history part. So thank you for your cooperation. Hope you found the classes useful. Please refer to Spectrum. It is the sole and only source for your history. No other source is required. Please buy Spectrum book, and it is sufficient for your modern India, for your preparation of modern India. Thank you so much, and take care of your health, and Jai Hind, Namaste.